Here we are in the beautiful northeast coast town of Blyth. We're doing some filming here for a corporate video, and one of the things we always need to do, whether it's news or corporate videos, is to develop cutaway shots or GVs. And we can do a pan or a tilt, but sometimes it makes more sense to zoom, just to create a slightly longer shot for the edit. And that's been a bit more difficult recently since we've been shooting on these big chip cameras and SLR style stills lenses, because they don't have motor zooms in, which you used to have on all big TV ENG cameras. The best thing they had on those hugely expensive £20,000 plus TV lenses was a servo or a motor on the side. Of course, stills lenses don't have that. They might be a good enough quality in terms of optical quality, but they don't have a zoom motor. Chrosziel have come up with a solution which is a universal zoom motor for all of these lenses. So we've got this on here. It's a lovely little snug unit. I've had to mount it this side because the zoom ring is at the rear of this particular lens. This is the Sigma Art f2.8 24-70, so really good zoom range lens for doing everything with at f2.8 to make the really best possible use of that shallow depth of field from the full frame chip on this, the Sony FX6. Let's see what it's like zooming. So you plug it all in, you give it some power from a D-tap. I've got a V-Lock battery on the back here that's supplying power to the camera and the monitor and the zoom motor. That gets plugged in via its little control interrupt cable to the grip on the front of the FX6. So I can pop it on my shoulder as such and zoom at beautifully slow, creepy speeds, or very fast zooms, depending on what I need to do. So if it's just reframing, you can go very fast. If you're on shot, you can do a beautiful, nice little creepy, slow zoom to make the most of the real length of the zoom, to make the shot as long as possible, and as useful as possible. So it's really cool. It has 5 different modes as well. So you can have it super silent, you can have it variable power, so it can go super fast or super slow for sort of ENG style. There's another one which is built specifically for stills lenses, so it counters the natural resistance they have, because a lot of stills lenses, they're not meant to be operated on video, so that they're not very smooth when they zoom in or out. This motor counteracts that, which is quite nice, so you can get really nice smooth zooms even with jerky old stills lenses. And there's another couple of modes as well which just make things a bit easier. You swap between the modes by pressing the zoom servo control here to the telly end of the rocker and holding it there for 10 seconds, and then that cycles through the modes. Every 10 seconds you press it. So it's fairly easy to change the mode. You don't need to plug anything else in, don't need to plug it into the computer, which is what I thought you had to do to start with. And then I actually read the documentation, and oh no, you just hold the zoom rocker to the telly position and it cycles to the next mode. So really useful. But what about when you're on the tripod like this? You don't want to necessarily relocate the grip to the back, which actually is quite usable that way. Put the grip at the back here and then swing the camera around on like that. You don't actually need to do that. If you've got one of these LANC controllers, so this is a LANC zoom demand, which I had on here for my FS7 with the Sony 18-105 lens. I used to use this a lot on there. When it came to using this, the LANC control doesn't work because it's a different size connector on the FX6 and the FX9. So Chrosziel have thought of this and have actually got a socket on the motor which takes the LANC input. So now I can zoom my lens with this LANC control from the arm of the tripod, and then we have this wonderful, back to what we were used to with TV lenses, on a stills lens, which is absolutely invaluable when you're doing shots like, well, when you're doing shoots like this that we're doing at the moment, which is a corporate, and we're going to need a lot of cutaway material, but with a potentially quite a low amount of places we can shoot or material that we actually have to cover. So making up the time for the edit out of some really nice tilts, pans and zooms is incredibly useful. So let's see, it does it nicely on this 2870. Let's put the 70-200 on and see how it performs on there. So here we are with the Sony 70-200. This is one of my favourite lenses, not least because it doesn't move while it zooms. So for having it on a rig like this, really nice. Don't have to adjust the matte box or anything. So we've put Chrosziel's nice little geared ring on here, which is actually quite smart the way they've done that. And we're on the grip here. I've also managed to enable the clear image zoom on the FX6. So what I'm doing is now, because the Chrosziel motor passes through all the data that's coming from the grip here, so be it your front wheel or your menu or your record button, it passes everything through. So if you assign clear image zoom to on in the camera, you can zoom with the rocker at the front here, and the servo will zoom the lens and the camera will zoom the clear image zoom. So you get 1.5 times plus whatever the zoom ratio is on the lens. So you can add even more magnification in the same movement. So let's just have a go at that. So we've got these nice little top of this sculpture here. We're going to zoom in on that. Nice and smooth. The clear image zoom is working in tandem at the same time, simultaneously to the lens zooming in. So now we're coming towards the end of the zoom, 180, 200 mil, and we're significantly closer than we would have been without the clear image zoom on. So let's have a look at the ocean over there. And again, with the fantastic autofocus in this camera, it means it's holding that focus all the way through the zoom. Let's look at this little house here. So again, we're 200 mil times 1.5. Zoom all the way back out. Nice and smooth. It is very windy up here, so I'm sorry about the noise and the wobble of probably both cameras, sorry. So we've got a lot more zoom there than we would have with just the lens, or indeed just the clear image zoom, but with a beautiful smooth motion that you can use on shot. Fantastic. Let's have a look at how I've rigged this up. So we've got the motor on, you know, what should be the proper side for a zoom motor, which is the far side of the camera, so it doesn't interfere if I wanted to manual focus. It's sat here on that nice little geared ring. We've got everything's all in together. Again, we can use the servo with a LANC control, so let's plug that in, and now we've got LANC control from the pan handle of the tripod there. Nice smooth slow zoom or fast reframing sort of zoom if we wanted to. The only disadvantage of doing it with the LANC control here is that you don't get the clear image zoom. So we don't mind that particularly with most lenses, but actually when you're doing long lenses like this or the fantastic 200-600, being able to push in with the clear image zoom is actually really quite useful. And you know, I'm sure you've all found not much difference in picture quality at all. So that's fantastic. That works really nicely. I've got no hesitation about using this on shot, even in a live environment. The motor here is just unbelievably smooth, and it's clearly really powerful because there's no jitter, there's no little step movements like you get with even old broadcast lenses where they've got a bit worn out. This is clearly powerful enough to handle almost any lens you put it on. Despite the advantages of the Sony FS and FX line of cameras, be it the pass-through information from the control grip through to the motor, it really is a universal motor system because as you can see here, you can put it on any lens on any camera. This is my Nikon Z6, and they're very, very useful 24 to 200 as zoom lens, which obviously replaces an entire bag of lenses and is an ideal candidate for putting a servo motor drive on, because you know you want sometimes to be able to do a really nice creepy slow zoom on shot from on the longest lens you have, or at least the highest magnification lens you have. So as you can see here, it's working beautifully on the slow setting, and it'll also do it quickly as well. So let's just have a look at how that looks. I haven't actually rigged this up as I would shoot it. I would obviously have a matte box on because that's necessary for everything, but I was also more specifically have lens support and a slightly better setup for the camera. Got a V-Lock battery on the back here with you know, just one of these cheap little receiver plates that are mounted onto the bars. And you know, let's have a quick look. So here's the field here. Let's do a nice slow zoom in on that gap in the background. Anything going on over there? Not really. So there we are. So that's 200 mil. Let's come back fast. Look at that. It's awesome. So you can see without lens support, there is a little bit of initial movement at the beginning and end of the zoom, but if you had bothered to support the lens properly, it wouldn't do that. So there we go. That I think shows just how universal this motor really is. And don't tell anyone I told you this, but you can also use it for focus, or maybe even iris. So that's the Chrosziel universal servo zoom motor for almost any lenses. There's no reason why you couldn't use this on an already geared cinema lens, or indeed a normal TV lens, actually, if your zoom servo has given up or whatever. But most useful for these big chip cameras with stills, majoritively stills lenses. Turn any lens into a beautiful video servo zoom lens. What an innovation, and really, really easy to set up as well. So thanks Chrosziel for sending me this to have a look at. I really don't want to send it back.